this idea that the president is in discussions with a new and more reasonable regime to end the military operations in Iran. What do we know about who or whom he is speaking to?
We don't know much at all. In fact, that would appear to be by design, at least to hear the Trump administration tell it. You have Secretary Rubio being asked in a television interview today the identity of those interlocutors in the Iranian regime. Keep in mind that officially, when it comes to the known spokespeople of the regime, what remains of it, and enough remains to stay in control of the country, they have denied having direct talks, and they have openly scorned the various approaches made by Trump. So Rubio says that they cannot disclose the identity of those interlocutors for fear that they would face score settling within Iran. It's really hard to know what to make of this. It would appear, if this is true, that the Americans have found someone to talk to, someone to peel away from the main regime and perhaps create a post-war regime or the makings of a post-war regime, a renegade within the existing regime. But then the question would be, can those people deliver if they're renegades, if they can't be publicly acknowledged, and indeed if they're being publicly denied by the people we know publicly to be in charge of the country?
So many questions. I want to layer on top of that, Dan, Houthi militants launching ballistic missiles at Israel Saturday morning, so marking their entry into the month-long war with Iran that has already caused, as you know, so much chaos in energy markets and killing thousands, as we mentioned earlier. Feels like an escalation to me. And then you could layer on top of that, too, U.S. military and the troops that they've been sending to the region.
It does. The vector is definitely toward escalation. I would say when it comes to the Houthis of Yemen, with that not surprising entry into this war, they previously took part in this war. Indeed, they were firing directly on the US Navy and were fired on in turn only about a year ago. However, this was a fairly muted attack with which to open up a new front with Israel. It was 2 missiles, one surface to surface, one cruise, neither of which hit home. And indeed, the Israelis seem to be at pains not to make too much of it, perhaps not wanting to serve them a propaganda victory in threatening retaliation, threatening escalation. That attack by the Houthis, to my knowledge, has not recurred since Saturday. Quite an odd development there. However, anyone involved in shipping in the Gulf, in the Red Sea, will be very worried about the potential re-entry of the Houthis. They've proven very able to disrupt maritime traffic in the past.
Hey, Dan, before we let you go, and we're having a little bit of connection issues. We're going to try to get that worked out. In Israel, where is the Netanyahu administration in terms of wanting to exit this war or being aligned with what we're hearing from President Trump? Is there daylight between them, or they seem aligned with their messaging?
There is no daylight that can be visible. I guess that's the point of daylight. The Israelis, like the Americans, are saying they're in this to get the job done. However, there is a diminution of expectations when it comes to a toppling of this regime. It's worth remembering from the outset, both President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu described the potential toppling of the Iranian regime as a aspired to downstream effect of the primary objectives of this war, the primary objectives being defanging Iran in terms of a destruction of its nuclear and advanced military capabilities. So both sides said at the outset that they would prepare the ground for Iranians internally, organically, to bring down that regime. That has not happened. And it would appear that if there is a reassessment, it would be in the direction of making do with that destruction of Iranian capabilities and letting time tell in terms of a largely ruined country in disarray in Iran, whether in the coming months and weeks, perhaps, the Iranian opposition, such as it is able to seize the situation and rise up to topple the regime from within. If there is a review underway, the review would be on that downstream ambition, the ambition of a regime change internally.